Hey everyone, welcome back to this master series on learning coding patterns. My name is Mohammed Ali, and today we are going to solve question number 456 of Leetcode. The question name is 132 pattern, and we are going to solve this question using stack approach. So what this question is asking us, this question is simply saying that our job is to check whether 132 pattern exists in a given list or not. Now the real question is, what is this 132 pattern? Now 132 pattern requires two conditions to be fulfilled, and the conditions are that I should be less than j and j should be less than k. Now what are these I, j, k? So I, j, k are indices, okay, which means that let's say if I is 0 and j is 1 and k is 2, then this condition is true. Okay, this is the first condition. I means index 0, j means index 1, and k means index 2. Cool. Now the second condition includes the subconditions, which are nums I should be less than nums k. Okay, what this means is that value at 0 index should be less than value at second index. Okay, so yes, 1 is less than 3, so true. Nums I should be less than nums j, which means this 1 at 0 index should be less than value at first index, which is 2. Yes, again it is true. Now this condition says, this one says nums j should be greater than nums k. We have set like j equals to 1 and k equals to 2, so it means like value at j should be greater than value at k. So my question to you is this right or wrong? Wrong, because 2 is lesser than 3, not greater than 3. So that's why we will say, sorry, this condition is not getting fulfilled, and that's why 132 pattern does not exist in our L1. Okay, so this is what we have discussed so far, but now let's understand how our code will proceed visually. So here we have this L1, which is our given list. Here we have current pointer that we will use for our traversal, and here we have a stack. Stack will be a list, and top will be the last element in our list, and num3 is a variable that will be initialized using negative infinity. Okay, now before proceeding further, let me first remove this part. Okay. Okay, and this one, yeah, just to make some space. So here we are. So what we will do, first of all, we are going to check whether the value current is pointing towards is greater than the value num3 is initialized with. Yes, if it is yes, then we will proceed further and we will check whether the stack is empty or not. And the last element, the top of our stack, contains a value that is smaller than the value of current. So right now our stack is empty. So what we will do, we are simply going to fill this stack with the value current is pointing towards. So come here and copy this 4 and then place it here. So right now our stack contains only one value, that is 4, and it is at top position. Okay, now what we are going to do, now we are going to move our current pointer to 3. Remember that we started our main traversal from the very end. Okay, now at second index we have found out 3. Now what we will do, we are again going to check whether 3 is greater than num3. If yes, okay, no worries, we will move forward, and we are going to check whether our stack is empty or not. No, our stack is not empty. Good. Then we will check whether the value at top is smaller than the value this current is pointing towards. Oops, no, 4 is greater than 3. So that's why what we will do, we will simply come here, copy this 3, and we are going to append it to our stack, and our top position will be pointing to this 3. Okay, now let's move our current pointer one step forward, and here we have found 2. Again, 2 is greater than negative infinity, so what we will do, we will check our stack. Our stack is also not empty, and the value at top position is smaller or greater than this 2. It is greater than 2. So what we will do, again we will do nothing, and we are simply going to copy this 2 and append it to our stack. And this top position now is pointing towards this 2. Let's suppose if there was 1, so what would have happened, we would have simply popped that value from our stack and replaced it with num3. Okay, and then we would have proceeded with appending the current value in our stack and then move forward. But let's focus here at the moment. So we are here at this position. Now we are going to move forward with 1. So at 0 index we have found this 1, and again we are going to check whether 1 is greater than this negative infinity. Yes, it is. Then what we are going to do, we are going to check whether stack is empty or not. No, the stack is not empty. And then we are going to ask the question that the value at top position is smaller than the value at current position or not. No, it is not. So what we will do, we will do nothing, and we are simply going to copy this 1 and paste it here, like, and change our top position to 1. Okay, now since there is no element after 1, so what we will return, we are going to return false. Okay, because there is no 132 pattern there is no 132 pattern existing in our list, so that's why our final return will be false. But now it's time for the second example. What if there was 132 pattern? So let's look at the second example, but before that thing, let me remove this first example and this false, we don't need it. Okay, and again we don't need these part as well. So let's bring top to this position, and let's bring this L2 here. Again we are going to start our current pointer from the very end. So this L2 contains this 132 pattern, and we are going to look and verify whether this pattern is existing in our L2 or not, exists in our L2 or not. So let's find it out. So here we have this current pointer, and current pointer is starting at position 2. So again we are going to check whether the value current is pointing towards is greater or smaller than the value at num3. If it is greater than the value at num3, then what we will do, we will do nothing, and we are going to come forward and check whether our stack is empty or not. Yes, our stack is empty, so we will do nothing, and we are simply going to come here and copy this 2 and append it to our stack. So right now at top position we have this 2. Now what we are going to do, we are going to move our current pointer to the next value, and here we have found 4. So now what we will check, we will check whether 4 is greater than num3 or not. Yes, it is greater than num3, so we will move forward to our second condition, whether our stack is empty or not. No, our stack is not empty. Okay, now we will check whether the value this top is pointing towards is smaller than the value of current or not. Yes, current's value is greater, and stack's value, the top of the stack's value, is smaller. So what we will do, we are first going to pop this 2 from our stack, and then we are going to replace this 2 here and assign it like to num3. Okay, and then what we will do, we are simply going to append whatever the value current was pointing towards to our stack. So our stack currently contains 4 at top position. Num3's value has been updated from negative infinity to 2. And then what we are going to do, we are going to move our current pointer to the next value. Now at this position, current is pointing towards 1. And now we are going to check and compare whether the value that current pointer is pointing towards is smaller or greater than num3. If it is greater, then we would have proceeded further, but at the moment the current's value 1 is smaller than num3's value. So what we are going to do, we are simply going to return true. That's it. Okay, now I would encourage you to rewind and try to watch the video again and build up some intuition of code. Like, okay, if this is the case, then how the code will be written. Okay, now I am going to proceed towards Leetcode, but I would encourage you to visit Leetcode on your own and try to give this question a try. Don't get discouraged if you don't get it in your first go, but at least give it a try and try to analyze whether this visual understanding is helping you in solving Leetcode question on your own. Then once you are done with that Leetcode question of your own, then come again to this video and compare it with my solution and see where are the similarities, where are the differences, whether your approach is working better than mine or not. If it is, then feel free to comment down below your approach, how you solve your question, so that I can learn. If let's say your approach isn't working, then feel free to learn it from mine and try to compare and then correct your code. Okay, so let's jump towards our Leetcode. So here we are on Leetcode and the question number is 456 and the name is 132 pattern. The difficulty is medium, and this was the first example that we saw in our visualization part, and this is the example of the this is the second example that we looked just right now before coding part. This example should return true and this example should return false. Okay, now let's start coding. So first of all, we are going to define our variables. So initially we will define stack, which will be an empty list, and then we are going to define num3, and num3 is going to be negative infinity. Okay, okay. So now what we have to do, we have to define a for loop. So the for loop is going to be for num in reversed nums. Why are they reversed? Remember, we started our current pointer from the very end. So now what we are going to do, we are initially going to define if num is less than num3, then return true. So since num3 contains negative infinity, so this first condition will not be true, and we'll move forward in order to find out the num2 or j. Okay, but when it will find something, then we will look like how this condition will work. Okay, but right now this condition will check whether num is less than num3. So since num3 contains negative infinity, so this condition will not work, and our and then simply Python will move to the next line of code. So here we have while stack and stack negative 1 is less than num. So while stack simply means we will check whether our stack is empty or not, and the top position of our stack, okay, is less than num. So if these two conditions will be true, then what we will do, we are going to assign num3 what stack dot pop and num. Okay, sorry, not num, just this pop. So what we will do, we are going to pop out the value from our stack, and then we are going to assign that value to num3. Okay, and finally what we are going to do, we are going to append num to our stack. Okay, this is what we did in the visualization part. And once we are done with all of this, then we are going to return false. If let's say this line of code will never get executed, then eventually when our loop will end, then Python is going to return false. Okay, which will happen in this case that we saw in L1. Okay, so this is the L1, and here in the L2 case, our code is going to return false. Oh, our code is going to return true. Okay, so let's run this code. And okay, so initially our code got accepted. Now let's click on submit, and then okay, so our code got submitted and all the test cases got accepted. Okay, so this was a very simple explanation of question 456 of Leetcode 132 pattern. So the questions level is medium, the difficulty level is medium, but I believe, like, thanks to the visual understanding and this coding demo, I believe like now this question should feel like an easy one. If you still face any issues, if you still need any clarification, feel free to write your concern, your question in the comment section, and I would love to solve it. Okay, then take care, and I'll see you in the next video with a new question. Bye. Peace.